Let me ask you something, and be honest with yourself. When was the last time you looked at your bank statement and thought, I don't even know where my money went? Not a big purchase, not rent, not groceries. Just gone. Here's the uncomfortable truth for most people. It's not the big expenses that are keeping them broke. It's the small ones, the quiet ones, the ones that don't hurt enough to notice. Think about it. Streaming services, apps, memberships, digital tools, free trials you forgot to cancel. $10 here, $15 there. They feel harmless, almost invisible. And that's exactly why they're dangerous. Because no one ever went broke from one subscription. They went broke from 10 they stopped thinking about. What makes this worse is that subscriptions are designed to disappear into your life. They auto-renew. They don't ask permission again. They quietly drain your money every single month while you're busy living. And over time, they turn into a financial leak most people never patch. In this video, we're going to expose why small monthly subscriptions are quietly keeping people stuck, stressed, and paycheck to paycheck without them even realizing it. We'll break down the psychology behind it, why your brain ignores these costs, and how this system works against you. And most importantly, we'll talk about how to take control without deleting everything, without extreme budgeting, and without feeling deprived. Because the goal isn't to live without enjoyment. The goal is to stop paying for things that no longer serve you, silently, endlessly, and unnecessarily. Once you see this clearly, you'll never look at just $10 a month the same way again. Now that we've set the stage, let's zoom in on what's really happening, because subscriptions don't hurt you the way big expenses do. They don't arrive with warning. They don't demand a decision every month. They just stay. And that's the first problem. Subscriptions are designed to remove friction. Once you sign up, the thinking stops. There's no checkout page, no second thought, no moment where your brain asks, do I still want this? The money simply leaves your account on schedule, quietly and politely, every single month. Your brain loves this. Because from a psychological perspective, subscriptions don't feel like spending. Spending feels active. Subscriptions feel passive. And passive costs are the easiest ones to ignore. Think about it. If you had to manually pay for every streaming service, app, and membership each month, log in, confirm, approve, you'd cancel half of them within 3 months. Not because you hate them, but because the effort would force you to ask a simple question. Is this still worth it? Subscription models are built to make sure you never ask that question. Now let's talk numbers. Not scary ones, just real ones. $10 a month sounds harmless. So does 15. Even 20 doesn't raise alarms. But stack just 5 subscriptions at $15 each, and you're already at $75 a month. That's $900 a year. And most people don't have 5. They have 10, sometimes more. What's dangerous isn't the price. It's the multiplication. Your brain is terrible at long-term math. It's wired for the present moment, not annual totals. That's why companies don't say this will cost you $720 over 3 years. They say only $19.99 a month. Monthly pricing hides the real cost in plain sight. And here's the twist most people don't notice. Subscriptions don't just cost money, they cost attention and identity. When you subscribe to something, you mentally tell yourself, I use this. I need this. This is part of my life, even when you barely touch it. Canceling feels like admitting a mistake, and humans hate admitting mistakes. So instead of canceling, we tolerate the loss. This is called the sunk cost effect. You're not paying because it's valuable. You're paying because you once thought it would be. And every month you keep it, canceling feels harder, not easier. Now let's look at how this plays out in real life. You sign up for a streaming service for one show. You finish the show. You keep the service just in case. You download an app for productivity. You use it for 2 weeks. It renews quietly for 6 months. You start a free trial, planning to cancel. You forget. The charge hits your account at the worst possible time, and instead of canceling, immediately you think, I'll do it later. Later rarely comes. What makes subscriptions especially dangerous is that they blend into your fixed expenses. Rent, utilities, insurance, those feel unavoidable. Subscriptions sneak into that same mental category, even though they're optional. Once that happens, your brain stops questioning them entirely. They become background noise. And here's the part that really hurts. Subscriptions reduce your financial flexibility. Every recurring payment shrinks your margin. That margin is what protects you from stress. It's what allows you to say yes to opportunities and no to emergencies. When subscriptions quietly eat that margin, life starts to feel tighter even if your income hasn't changed. This is why so many people say, I make decent money, but I never feel ahead. It's not because they're irresponsible. It's because their money is already assigned before the month even begins. Subscriptions also create a false sense of affordability. Because each one is small, they don't trigger alarm. But combined, they quietly lock you into a higher cost of living than you realize. You're not living extravagantly, you're living automatically. And automation without awareness is where money disappears fastest. Let's pause on something important. The goal here is not to cancel everything. This isn't about living like a monk or cutting out enjoyment. Subscriptions can be incredibly valuable when they're intentional. The problem isn't subscriptions themselves, it's unconscious subscriptions. The moment you stop seeing subscriptions as just a few dollars and start seeing them as long-term commitments, everything changes. Because every subscription is a promise you're making to your future self. I'm willing to give up this money every month for this experience. Most people never consciously make that promise. It's made for them. And that's why subscriptions feel harmless while quietly doing damage. Not all at once, not dramatically, but slowly, consistently, and relentlessly. By now, you can probably think of at least one subscription you haven't used in weeks, maybe months, and yet it's still there, still charging, still quietly active. So the question isn't, do people waste money on subscriptions? The real question is, why don't people cancel them? Because canceling should be easy. It's one click, one button, one decision. But emotionally, it doesn't feel that way. Canceling feels like loss. Not financial loss, emotional loss. You're not canceling an app. You're canceling a version of yourself. The version who thought they'd work out more. The version who thought they'd learn a new skill. The version who thought they'd use that productivity tool. The version who thought they'd change their routine. And humans don't like letting go of future identities, even when they're not real anymore. This is why subscriptions attach to hope, not usage. Hope. I might need it. I'll use it again. What if I cancel and regret it? These aren't logical thoughts, they're emotional ones. And emotions are more powerful than math. Companies understand this deeply. That's why cancel buttons are hidden. That's why retention emails are emotional. That's why they offer pause instead of cancel. That's why they send "we'll miss you" messages. Well, they're not fighting logic. They're targeting attachment. Let's talk about another trap, decision fatigue. Life is already full of decisions. Work, food, relationships, responsibilities. Canceling subscriptions feels small, but it still costs mental energy. So your brain delays it. Not because it's hard, because you're tired. This is why people say, I'll cancel it later. Later becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. And next month becomes normal. And once something becomes normal, it stops feeling wrong. There's also the comfort factor. Subscriptions feel like safety nets. Entertainment, convenience, access. They create emotional security even when they're not being used. You're not paying for value. You're paying for reassurance. Now here's the dangerous part, subscription clutter. The more subscriptions you have, the less you track them. One subscription is easy to monitor. 5 is manageable. 10 becomes noise. Your brain stops counting. It stops noticing. It stops caring. This is how people lose control without realizing it. Not through chaos, through normalization. Subscription spending doesn't feel reckless. It feels organized. It feels structured. It feels responsible. It's all automated. It's predictable. It's manageable. But predictable doesn't mean healthy. And automated doesn't mean intentional. The more automated your spending becomes, the less conscious control you have. And control is the foundation of financial confidence. Here's a powerful mindset shift. A subscription is not a product. It's a monthly commitment. You're not buying access. You're buying obligation. Obligation to keep paying. Obligation to remember. Obligation to maintain it. When you start seeing subscriptions this way, something changes. You stop asking, do I like this? And start asking, is this worth a permanent monthly claim on my money? That's a very different question. Now let's talk about identity. People often keep subscriptions because it supports who they think they are. I'm a learner. I'm a fitness person. I'm productive. I'm creative. But identity without behavior is fantasy, and subscriptions often protect fantasy. Canceling means confronting reality, and reality can be uncomfortable. But here's the truth. You don't lose identity by canceling a subscription. You regain honesty. You're not quitting growth. You're choosing clarity. This is the mental unlock. You are not canceling value. You are canceling waste. Value adds to your life. Waste drains it. The difference isn't price, it's usage and intention. And when you shift from emotional attachment to intentional ownership, canceling stops feeling painful. it starts feeling empowering. Control feels good, clarity feels calm, simplicity feels light. Up to now, we've talked about the problem and the psychology behind it, but awareness alone doesn't change behavior. What changes behavior is systems. The mistake most people make is trying to fix subscription spending with willpower. I'll just cancel the bad ones. I'll be more mindful. That works for about 2 weeks. Then life happens. The goal isn't to rely on discipline, it's to reduce decision making altogether. Let's start with a powerful reset called the subscription audit. This isn't about canceling everything. It's about seeing the truth clearly without judgment. Step 1 is simple. List every single recurring charge you have. Streaming services, apps, memberships, cloud storage, anything that renews automatically. Don't categorize yet. Don't cancel yet. Just list. Most people are shocked at this step alone, not because the number is huge, but because it's invisible until written down. Once everything is visible, you move to step 2, usage honesty. For each subscription, ask one question. Did I actively use this in the last 30 days? Not, do I like it? Not, do I plan to use it? Not, is it useful in theory? Actual usage. This removes emotion from the decision. Reality becomes the filter. Now here's where most people go wrong. They try to cancel everything they didn't use. That creates resistance and regret. Instead, use the pause principle. If a subscription hasn't been used, cancel it with permission to resubscribe later. This single mental shift changes everything. You're not saying never again. You're saying not right now. Most people never resubscribe, and that's the proof you didn't need it. Now let's talk about subscription caps. One of the smartest financial rules you can set is a limit on recurring services. For example, no more than 3 entertainment subscriptions, no more than 2 productivity tools, no overlapping services, limits forced choice. Choice creates intention. If you want a new subscription, an old one must go. This keeps your spending lean without feeling restrictive. Another powerful tool is annual reevaluation. Once a year, you review every subscription as if you were buying it again today. Would you sign up again at this price, knowing how often you actually use it? If the answer is no, it's already overstayed its welcome. Now let's address a fear many people have. If I cancel things, life will feel boring or limited. In reality, the opposite happens. Fewer subscriptions means more focus, more appreciation, more intentional enjoyment. When you have 5 streaming services, you scroll endlessly. When you have 1 or 2, you actually watch. When you have 10 apps promising productivity, you feel overwhelmed. When you have one, you build habits. Abundance creates noise. Constraints create clarity. Here's another overlooked benefit: cash flow confidence. Reducing subscriptions doesn't just save money, it frees mental space. You stop feeling stretched. You stop wondering where your money went. That confidence spills into other areas of life. You make better decisions. You feel calmer. You feel more in control. And that control is what allows saving, investing, and growth to actually happen. Let's talk long term. Subscription discipline isn't about this month or next month. It's about preventing lifestyle creep. As income increases, subscriptions multiply. Better apps, premium tiers, more services. Without guardrails, higher income just means higher automation. And automation without intention leads right back to feeling broke, just at a higher level. The people who build wealth aren't the ones who never spend. They're the ones who choose where their money goes. They don't let companies decide for them. They don't let habits decide for them. They decide deliberately. Subscriptions should earn their place in your life every month. If a service saves you time, brings real joy, or helps you grow, keep it proudly. But if it's just sitting there, draining silently, protecting an idea instead of reality, let it go. Money doesn't disappear because of one bad decision. It disappears through small, repeated, unquestioned ones. And subscriptions are the most polite thieves of all. They don't steal loudly, they ask once, and then never again. When you reclaim control here, something shifts. You stop reacting. You start directing. And that's when money stops being stressful and starts becoming a tool. So here's the big takeaway. It's not that subscriptions are evil. And it's not that you're bad with money. The real issue is that small, automatic decisions have been running your finances without your permission. Quietly, consistently, month after month. When you stop and look closely, you realize something powerful. You don't need to earn more to feel ahead. You need to leak less. Because money you never notice leaving is money you never get to use for things that actually matter. Subscriptions should support your life, not silently drain it. And once you start choosing them intentionally, everything changes. Your stress goes down, your clarity goes up, and your money finally starts working with you instead of against you. If this video made you pause, think, or look differently at your own subscriptions, that's a win. And if you want more content like this, simple, practical money ideas that actually fit real life, then make sure you subscribe. On this channel, we talk about spending smarter, saving without misery, and building a calmer relationship with money, without hype, without guilt, and without pretending everyone needs to be rich overnight. If you found value here, hit the like button. It really helps this video reach people who need it. And let me know in the comments, what's one subscription you're honestly questioning right now? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.